All right, so the first question we have here is, what is your view on David Crowley?
I knew David. After his trailer came out and I saw it, being a combat veteran myself, I reached out to him, on Facebook. And he's a private person, but when you have a common ground or something that you can, relate to, and being in combat is something that, bonds people, and you get it or you don't get it, And I have PTSD. I've had it for 22 years. David did not have PTSD. David did not like what he did in the military. He did the honorable thing. He joined the military, he wanted to serve his country, And then he gets there and realizes that it's not what he thought it was. He didn't know he was going to have to kill innocent people. And certain people respond to trauma in different ways. I was not made for that. It affected me profoundly. It didn't affect him in the way that he couldn't handle it. He just didn't like it, and he didn't agree with it. And a lot of people were making rumors like saying he was going to kill his comrades and his commanders and stuff like that, and that's simply not true. Yes, he was disillusioned. He was angry, especially when he was stop-loss. He wanted to get the fuck out of there. Pardon my language. But, he realized this is not what I signed up for. I want to go home, and I'm going to expose this. He was a very sound, logical, very intelligent man, and he loved his wife and his daughter.
So how long? Let me ask you this. Following up on that question, then, how long did you chat with David for? Like years, weeks?
I reached out to him in December of 2012.
Okay.
So it was a couple months after his trailer came out. Because I'm sketchy about people. I got to feel people out, see what they're all about. And I did my background check on him, and I was like, he's a good guy. I looked up his military records. He's very decorated. He's a hero.
So what did you think about his let's go to question 2 now. What is your view on the movie trailer Gray State that was released in 2012?
I think it's excellent. I think he was right on. The American people want to think, oh, that's crazy, that's a conspiracy. Number one, people, use your head. The definition of a conspiracy is 2 or more people planning an unlawful event against a person or an organization, period. It does not mean you're crazy. That's what a conspiracy is. But David had a lot of followers. He had over 2 million views on that trailer. He had a lot of people that were like, yeah, David. And if the American people think that martial law is not going to come into effect, they're wrong. And they're going to have a rude awakening.
How do you think it's going to come? You think it's going to come how we see it in that trailer?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We think we live in a free land, a democracy. We're communists in disguise. We're not free. We're not free. In the last 100 years, there's only been 5 years that our country has not been engaged in a war. You know why? Because when there's war, the economy is up and people spend money when they're upset and freaked out and scared. When it's peacetime, people don't spend money.
Let me ask you this. Did David ever talk about the people that he served with, served under, served over, etc.?
I mean, he got along with the people he served with. Most people don't even like their commanders. I personally didn't like mine. I didn't think he was fit to command,
Really?
Especially when he calls you in his office and says, oh, your contract is up, but guess what? You're not leaving. Yeah, he was pissed off. He was like, F you, buddy. And he's like, I'm not killing anybody else. You put me in the mailroom or something. I'm not doing it. And that's disobeying a direct order. If you're told to kill, you kill. David said no. He raised the bullshit flag. I'm not doing it. And they did. They put him in the mailroom.
Do you think he ever did have to kill somebody over there?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I know he did. I mean, he told me he did. Now, that took a long time because a lot of people that serve in combat and have to kill people, we don't talk about it.
Right.
It takes a long time. And then you find somebody that has been where you've been, and then it just comes out, you know, because you build a trust, and you're like, yeah, you get it, you know, and you got to take them home with you. And like I said, David and I had similar experiences, but we reacted different to them. My brain was not wired to kill people and handle it and process it and be okay with it and go home and sleep at night. But David was a strong man. Like I said, it did not affect him the way it affected me. He didn't like it, and he was going to expose it. And a lot of people didn't want it. Yes, absolutely.
When did you last speak with David? Or have any communication?
I think it was June of 2014.
How did he sound? Was he different than when you first spoke with him?
He was excited more than, he had been. He had made a lot of changes. He realized that he couldn't trust the people around him. He was acutely aware that he was being betrayed.
Did he know by who?
Betrayed by who?
Yes.
Is that what you're asking?
Yes. Did he know?
Remember, when you ask this question, you don't want to know the answer to. He was acutely aware that his own father, that his own brother, that Sean Wright, and Mason Hendricks were betraying him.
They were betraying him. In what way? I mean,
when there's a lot of money on the table, people want more. Say we have a company, and I say, okay, Greg, you get 20%. Okay, Anna, you get 25%. In the beginning, we don't really have any money, and we're raising it, and we're okay with it. But then when the big dollars start flying around, it's like, oh, no, I want more. And he was like, it's not really about the money. It's the story that we're trying to tell. Why all of a sudden do you want 50% now?
I mean, David's dad was pretty rich, though, right? He didn't really need money.
David's dad works for the government. He makes patents. David's dad has a lot of money. I mean, David went 5 years without speaking to his own father. David had a very dysfunctional family growing up. His mom was an alcoholic. His dad was abusive. His brother bullied him. His sister was a manipulative, lying bitch. And David was the only one, when he got to be 18, realized, this ain't me. I don't want to be part of this. I'm going to go join the military and make something of myself. And Dan Jr. has a criminal record. He was always jealous of David. He bullied David. And when David came back from the military, he was like, fuck you, Dan. And everyone said, oh, they were pushing their whole family away. Yeah, they were, because they couldn't trust them. It doesn't mean they were crazy.
Right.
But David realized after being in war and seeing dead people, he was even more protective of Crowley and Rainey. Yes, he had 10 weapons. They were all acquired legally. David was a marksman. he liked guns. My first husband has 37. It doesn't mean he's crazy. Even Kamel had a license because he wanted to protect his family. And he had a plan. Like my first husband. All right, somebody breaks in. What do? You hide here. The gun's here. This is what, we had a plan. And that's what he had with Kamel and Rain.
It does, it's like, how do we know, like, how do you know this? Like,
how do I know what?
Why do you believe this is true? Everything you've just said in the last few minutes.
Because I believe David.
Because David told you this.
Because David told me that. Okay? And in the military, they teach you to have integrity, to do everything with excellence and honor. No, not everybody does it, but David did. David didn't like what he was doing, but he did it, and he did it well. And he got an honorable discharge, and I think he has 16 awards and medals because I believed him. I studied a lot. I have 4 degrees. I did secret classified stuff when I was in the military, and I know how to assess people, when someone's bullshitting me or someone's telling me the truth. It wasn't easy for David to open up to me. 1, because I'm a girl. 2, because I was in the Air Force. Hello. He was in the Army. We have that inter-service, banner. Oh, you guys are punks or, whatever. and he's like, I like you, girl. You got guts. You got intestinal fortitude. You shot a weapon and you're good, So we laugh about it, but if we don't, we'll cry about it,
Mm-hmm.
So I believe in that, and nobody will ever change my mind.
So you don't believe David Crowley is guilty?
Absolutely not. Like I said, I've had PTSD for 22 years. I've never thought about homicide, ever. People don't understand what PTSD is. Number 1, when somebody experiences a terrifying, horrific event, if you're going to have PTSD, the symptoms present themselves immediately, couple months, couple years, not 9 years. Well, what would they blame it on if he hadn't been in the military? Everybody wants to say every freaking person who served in the military that kills themselves or commits, a murder-suicide, he had PTSD and he snapped. No, why? Do your homework.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there are a few cases of people who have done that. Okay? And people can have their different views about David. But when you start calling him a murderer and a perpetrator of a hate crime, now you started a war with me.
Domestic violence. Domestic violence, too.
Exactly. That's the truth. He never laid a hand on his wife or child, ever. No one will ever convince me of that. Ever. That is not true.
Do you think all of the talk about his wife and how, she was planning on leaving him, do you think all of that was just normal husband-wife stuff?
Exactly.
That's
exactly
I don't really
what
find
it is.
anything.
It was hard because he was so invested in his movie, and Kamel was working really hard, and, she was upset. She's like, David, you got to kind of bring in some money, and he had some businesses, but he was glued to his computer because he was committed. He had tenacity. He was committed to this movie, and she supported him, and it wasn't easy. I mean, think about it. When the breadwinner has to be the woman, it is hard. But it was just normal husband and wife. She would never leave him. She loved David. David was her prince. I mean, she disavowed her Muslim faith to become a Christian to marry David. David honored her.
Was David a Christian?
Well, he didn't like go to church, you know, but he had Christian faith.
He considered himself a believer in Jesus Christ.
Yes, he did.
He believed in the Bible.
Yes.
Which makes it weird why they found a Quran at the house, and I can't find a Bible at that. I haven't seen any mention of it.
It's like that's one of the many things that the people who did it really fucked up. Number one, they weren't Muslim. Okay. Number two, they didn't own a Quran. I can tell you that for a fact. David would not have a Quran. That makes no sense.
I think Kamel's sister said that it was hers. So maybe it was a book she kept in a closet or in a drawer or something.
Well, I've heard Sidra, and you know what? Once you lie once, I don't believe you. And when she admitted to lying about calling the police to go to David's house because she was afraid of him, she admitted that. Well, you're lying about that. What else are you lying about? I don't like liars. I don't like thieves. I don't like cheaters. And she's an admitted liar by her own words. Oh, when I went to the door, he looked crazy. What the fuck does crazy look like, Sidra? Are you a professional? Are you a psychiatrist? A psychologist? Oh, he shaved his hair in a mohawk. So what? So freaking what? You know? No, I just said his hair, his mohawk, has nothing to do with milking ducks in Africa. It has nothing to do with anything. It's his freaking hair. If he wants to shave it off, he could shave it off. So he's suddenly losing it? Whatever, dude. What do you know?
Yeah, and that was the big thing. So many people so early on were saying these things. David was crazy. He was in a downward spiral, all that stuff. And these are the people that one would think would be some of the closest people to him. And they're feeding the cops all of this stuff.
Like Sean Wright, when he wrote on Facebook, David, if this movie comes out, I'm going to jail. Call me.
Yeah, it was weird. And he left his number.
If you're such a good friend with him, how come you don't have his phone number? It's not David's fault you didn't do your damn taxes. You're a criminal. He has a criminal record as well.
Mhm. Yeah, and go and try to search for that post. You probably won't find it. It's probably gone.
I have it.
Well, yeah. I mean, we have it, but if somebody were to go to that website, to his Facebook page or whatever, that's one of the ones that was taken down like a couple days later.
Like so who had access to Facebook? Who has access?
Nobody should have, but obviously someone did.
Yeah, someone did. Exactly. Who? Tell me who.
I wish I could. I think we can figure it out. I think we can find out and get some factual data as to who that is. It's just a matter of time, I think. So, because there's no way that the cops don't know. So, anyways.
And that's the other thing about that Apple Valley PD. There ain't one goddamn motherfucker in that place that has any integrity. Not one of them would raise their hand and say, this ain't right. I'm not doing it. None of them. They're all pieces of shit. They have no integrity. You knew.
Well, I mean, we don't know but we don't know which ones didn't try to speak out, right? I mean, some of the data that we've gotten.
We would know because he'd raise his hand and raise the alarm and say, no, hell no. No, this ain't right. He would have got fired. They were more worried about keeping a paycheck. Guess what? I'd live in a cardboard box before I would let a lie be perpetuated about a man killing his wife and his child and himself. That is sick.
It is. You're right. It is.
And none of them have integrity or honor or excellence. They're all incompetent. I think they're a bunch of dumb Keystone cops playing hopscotch and spitball.
Let's see. Let's move to, sorry, my cat always wants to get her little cameo every time I try to interview somebody. Where are we at here? Okay, so number 4, you don't believe David's guilty. Let's go to number 5. Have you had the time to go through the hundreds of pages and documents and photographs available to the public?
I have. I have spent probably 1,000 hours reading page by page. And I'm like, first of all, you dumbass, you release these to the public, yet it doesn't add up to the crime scene. You can't have it both ways. Let's go to the blood analysis, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It says 2 or more mixtures. One is a family member. The other 2 family members are excluded. Well, who in the fuck is the other DNA? A mixture means it was done at the same time. Nobody had been in that house since Rainey's birthday party in August. Whose DNA is it?
That's not technically true. Sean Wright said he was in the house in December.
He was not. He wasn't.
What he said. I don't know. I'm just saying.
He was in the driveway. David met him in the driveway.
No, that was Danny Mason.
No, Sean Wright didn't go in the house. He went there in September. He did not go in that house.
He stated he went there in December 16th or 7th or somewhere in December, and
he's a liar. He's a liar
with his daughter. Yeah. Well, that's what he says. I don't know. I've caught him in many other lies. It's not hard for me to and that's kind of been the big thing is if these people are so truthful, then why are we finding so many different lies, so many different stories, so many people telling different stories, but they lead to the same place?
If you lie about something little, what else are you lying about? I have a lot of credible sources. I have a source, the girl who adopted Paleo. David Jr. acted like he stepped up to the plate and got Paleo out of the pound. He didn't keep him. He was adopted. And this girl knows Sean Wright. Sean Wright showed her pictures of the crime scenes on his phone. How the fuck did you get crime scene photos on your phone, Sean? Tell me.
Good question.
She
Maybe
said,
he's
I'm
walking
scared.
around with him.
Exactly. She's
said,
scared of him. I said, you better stay away from him. She goes, I know. He creeps me out.
She should, if he has photos of the crime scene, she should report that. Don't you think?
That's what I told her.
Yeah.
But again, you got to understand, these people are dying. We could have 1 million people sign that petition, Greg. They're not going to reopen this.
They have to.
They are not.
They have to.
Cops don't admit when they're wrong. They will never admit, oh, we fucked up. We're sorry. He didn't do it. I mean, they still to this day say he didn't have a motive.
No. Right. Yeah, no, I still think they're going to come back and say, you know what? Yeah, he's still guilty, but there's no way they can leave it just like this. I don't see any way they can just let this go like this. They have to reopen
people like you and I are like that. Raise the flag at every level you can. Hello, people. You need to look at this. This is not right. You can't find a bullet a month after the crime scene and said it's evidence. It wasn't there.
Right. So that's why I'm thinking maybe higher, right? So you got to go higher than them. Maybe
exactly. I'm used to the federal government, for 12 years. I know how it works. You got to cut through the red tape. You got to go above, above, above. Oh, you don't want to help? Who's your boss? Tell me who the highest paid motherfucker is. I will go to him.
Right. I think we need to go to the the state attorney general or something like that, if I remember correctly. But we need to take it to that level.
Somebody has to be held accountable. You know?
Yeah.
You gotta wait. Yeah. You gotta wait for like election time. You know, and make it a big deal.
Mhm.
And you gotta get people, together. And we're more forceful in numbers.
Yeah, but we can but they can also, always put their little spies in there too, and that's kind of been another issue.
They plant them everywhere.
Right. So that's why it's like, yes, we want to be a group, but we also want to make sure that we're all doing our own thing too, and just
that's like
helping
I said. Why I wanted Judy Prochnow out of the group. I knew it was her. When she popped.
You sure it was her? Yeah. I don't know.
I know it was her. When she's 65 years old, Greg. Don't you have grandkids? Don't you have a life? You got a Bridge Club? I mean, Gray State that I created on Reddit was active 2 days, and Judy Prochnow popped up. How the fuck did you find that? Do you Google David every day? How did you find that? 2 days.
She was watching the group, and it was mentioned in the group, and 2 days later, there you go.
I mean, and the reason I know that's one of your questions. We'll get to that later, why I was banned. I sent you the screenshot.
Yes. Thank you for that.
But yeah, I like David's autopsy, First of all, David was a marksman, okay? Now, sometimes, but not always, a marksman will train with both hands. But if a guy's going to shoot himself out of habit, he's going to use his dominant hand, okay? And it's not really your dominant hand, it's your dominant eye, which normally is consistent with your dominant hand. So his right eye was dominant, so his right hand was his dominant hand. Well, the gun was on the left side, and his right hand was clean cut off. Now, that gun would not be laying where it was just by the recoil. And the other thing, I've seen the bodies. I've seen many suicides. Greg, you don't land in a crucifix position when you kill yourself. I don't care. It's impossible. You will not lay with your legs perfectly straight and your arms above you. It doesn't happen. It's impossible.
Right, but the problem is we have three weeks, and they just blame everything on that dog. They just keep going back to that dog. Well, the dog might have did. Oh, the dog did. The dog did a lot of stuff. I don't think the dog did any of it.
There was dog food in the house. A dog will not typically eat his owner. Where's the bones? Where is Rainey's arm? She had a broken rib. Her arm was taken out at the socket. A dog could not do that. That takes a great amount of force. Somebody stepped on her chest and pulled her arm out. I'll tell you this much, too. I know that David was restrained, and David was killed last.
Why do you think that?
Because his left hand was so mummified.
Yeah, the hand is weird. The placement of the hand, everything about that hand is weird.
It just breaks my heart when I think about it. Sorry.
It's okay. It's a tough thing. But we're still in it. We're still in this fight. We need all hands on deck.
When I got this and read it, I was like thinking, David's in heaven going, don't you dare give up on me. And I won't. I won't give up on him.
So let me ask you about the Reddit. Why did you create this Reddit?
Because I wanted more exposure. I thought about it for a long time, and I know it's so
again.
controversial.
Say that
I thought about it for a long time. I know that it's so controversial, and Reddit can be pretty brutal, you know. And now the way Reddit works, Reddit is Reddit. It's just a big forum, and it has millions of subreddits, which are called communities sometimes. And once you join and get so many karma, which is like an upvote, if you write something and somebody likes you, it gives you like a thumbs up, you know. And when I state something, you know, I'm an investigator. When I state something, I don't just do it off the fly or, you know, just add my comment with no thought. I think about it. I investigate it. But, you know, and I was a moderator. Like a moderator is like an like you're the admin of Facebook group. Well, I was the admin or moderator of 12 subreddits that I created. And I make the rules. Now, Reddit has their own rules, but I can make my own rules too. And one of my rules was I don't want to hear conspiracy theory or tinfoil or I'll ban you. I didn't go off on tangents. I gave credit to you, you know, and Catherine Michelle, you know, gave your website, said these people have dedicated their lives to finding the truth. They're a good source of information. I posted all the reports that were public, you know. I said I had a picture of the bodies. If you're genuinely concerned about exposing the truth, I will send it to you in a private email. I will not post it on here. And I didn't, because I would never disrespect David like that. And Judy Proctor was like, well, I can't believe somebody who claims to be a friend of David would post that picture on the web. I did not post it on the web. And this is how I got banned. She doxed herself. Doxing means exposing personal information, okay? She said, I know what happened because my husband is the one who found the bodies. She doxed herself because everybody knows the Prochnows are the ones who found the bodies. It's in all news reports. If you pull up David Crowley, you're going to read about Judy and Colin Prochnow. And I simply said, welcome, Miss Prochnow. You may stay on this Reddit as long as you follow the rules. She reported me and said I exposed her identity. Bullshit. You doxed yourself.
And you still have all that, right? You have it all snapshotted, backed up, all that good stuff.
Yep.
Good.
And I appealed it. You know, I have 12 subreddits. I could give a flying discus miscus fuck about the 11 other subreddits. This one was personal to me, and I was pissed. And I appealed it. You can appeal once a day. And I appealed yesterday, and I appealed today, and I just said, she doxed herself. I've been a member for 10 months. I have over 300 followers and 15,000 karma, which means I got 15,000 thumbs up. Butterfly, we like what you say the right thing. If you post something, I want to read it. Like I was a moderator of the Delphi murders. Do you know who they are?
No,
I don't. It's a story about last February, 2 teenage girls were killed on a hiking bridge out in Delphi, Indiana. And I solved it. I know who did it. But he'll never be arrested.
Why not?
Because he found the bodies and he contaminated the scene. He had a apparent outburst of emotion and picked them up. Police knew right away who it was, but he touched the bodies. Of course his DNA is going to be on it. They were not sexually assaulted. I know that because I have sources. It was not a sex crime.
What type of crime was it?
I'll tell you this. It was a family member of one of the girls. And there was some sexual assaults going on.
Like a long history, and maybe they were going to finally speak out?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Sounds familiar. Okay.
I think it's kind of bizarre that one of the girls actually knew something wasn't right, pulled her phone out, took a picture of him, have him on video, and you can't solve the crime? Are you kidding me? This happened in broad daylight with 30 people in and around that trail, and nobody
What does
saw.
that guy do? What does that guy do? What does the guy do? The guy that found the body.
Well, I believe there were two people involved. One corralled the girls off the bridge and took them, down the trail, and the other guy helped kill them. But they only had a 32-minute window, which is a very tight frame. So I'm not exactly sure that they were killed right away, because they were killed on a private property that had a lot of buildings in them. And the property was not searched for a couple days because they had to get a warrant. They couldn't just go on this guy's property. And this guy's shady. This guy was suspiciously absent all day. He knows that there's 2,000 people in this town, and he disappeared for 10 hours. Where'd you go? What were you doing?
Oh, have you seen any other Reddit or subreddits about this case? I've come across one or two.
I've seen a couple posts like under the subreddit unresolved mysteries. Somebody like I had somebody in unresolved mysteries about 2 months ago say, "Does anybody know what happened in the David Crowley case?" And I private messaged him. I said, "Are you fucking around or are you serious? Because I don't have time for bullshit." And he said, "I'm serious." So I said, "Okay." So I wrote this long thing, all factual. I said, "Now do your own research. You should ask questions. Don't believe everything I say. Don't believe everything you read. Use your own brain and ask questions. You don't have to be an architect, a physicist, a doctor. Anybody who looks at this crime scene knows that something's not right." One medical examiner says the bodies were there for 3 weeks. The other one says no more than 10 days. Dan Crowley.
Who said 10 days? Which one said 10 days?
I have to look at my notes, Greg, to be honest with you. I have so many notes on this. And I heard, I do. I have a book.
You're going to have a lot more, I'm sure, as we go on here.
I know. I listened to a medical examiner on Catherine Michelle's YouTube. And I think he was the one who said the bodies had not been there 7 to 10 days at most. Because you could see David still had skin, on his body. It was not putrefied or liquefied. Where's all their blood? Tell me that. Blood doesn't vaporize. It doesn't disappear. You got 4 shots to the fucking head, and you don't have any high-velocity blood spatter?
No, it's all
Come
low.
on.
It's all low. They have low velocity.
No. A headshot is a lot of blood. It is a bloody, bloody mess. I have seen suicides. It is a mess. And these supposed bloody footprints, there was blood apparently all throughout the house. What did David do? Rub Kumail's blood all over his body and stumble through the house and hit the wall and the toilet and the toilet?
I didn't see any evidence of any other footprints or anything except for that one spot. And the only
I'll have to look. I have a report that talks about how in the hallway there was blood smeared on the wall.
Yeah, there was one one half of a fingerprint smear. That was it was so tiny.
Okay, explain that.
And
what did you walk down the hallway and go, boop, I'm going to touch the wall. Boop, come on.
Yeah. Well, and then why do that? Why even write 2 notes in two different rooms, and if you count that blood wall, that is 3 notes in three rooms that they all credit with David writing, without any proof, with no indication that he wrote
Exactly.
that. That could have been anybody. It could have been anyone.
Anybody could have. It was on that computer screen, and it was open. Anybody could have wrote that. And the blood on the notepad has David's or Comel's DNA, and then somebody else. Not David, not Rainey. Who? Who was it?
Yeah, I want to find that page too. Maybe you can look that one
yes,
up.
Yes, I'll send that to you.
Too.
Whose
that
other DNA is on that bloody notepad? I want to know. Because David wrote on that every day. The same, he was flipping pages.
Kamel did too. Kamel wrote on that notepad too. I don't know if you've seen the whole, we got like about, I think, 40 pages of that 80-page notebook. And it starts in 2011, and then it ends as like a cookbook or something. So she's in the beginning.
He was page to page. So, on the say on the 25th of December, he turned the page. It would only be his or Comel's DNA, unless somebody else is in the house.
But he also wrote this on page 41, which is also weird. It's like he flipped it halfway through, and it doesn't seem random. That's also where it's like you would do it at the very end. There are plenty of other blank pages at the end, and I just have a hard time understanding why he would just flip to this page, and that's a whole other thing that I'm still looking at, though. But that's still bad. There's so many things like that, and people say, "Well, you guys are just looking for anything that'll help prove." No, we're looking at all of these different things.
Oh, it's circumstantial, but when you have 500 circumstantial things, it's really important. Okay, so no, we didn't have a witness, but goddamn, when you have all these things that, any layperson, like I said, I'm an educated person, but anybody could look at this and be like, just use your common sense, use your logic. What's going on here, people?
Yeah, I think people can't really get past that ceiling bullet, the bullet hole in the ceiling. Nobody's ever been able to even come close. I think the best that they ever did was just to not talk about it. That's the only way that they've been able to keep that theory going.
And that's the bullet that killed David?
That's what they say.
And he has no blood? No hair,
no blood, but just the
DNA. Well, of course his DNA is going to be on it. He loaded the magazine.
His DNA should be on all the
head. If it traveled through his head, Greg, it would have blood and tissue. Period.
Even if it went through the ceiling, bounced off of the attic, 2x4s on the top.
I know. It's like the magic bullet from JFK. It went through his head, and then, it took a right turn and went up. Come on.
Yeah, I think that is the big one. Everything surrounding that, how it was found, how it wasn't found, who found it, the different dates of who was in the house on January 19th.
Right.
All of that, to me,
you know how many investigators and technicians and everybody that was in that house, and nobody saw this because it wasn't there.
That's what they need to investigate. They need to They need to reopen this, and even if they're just going to investigate item 57, they really should, because there's not a lot of conclusive data. There really isn't much mention of item 57 because at that time they didn't have it, and even after they find it, there's no mention. Go ahead.
And who's crying? What was he doing in the house? Why did he wait a month to tell the police about it?
I think he's related to David. I think he's like a family member. I know he's in that area too.
Even more suspicious.
Yeah. So that's interesting. There's a lot of things that just I don't talk about much because we don't have a lot of evidence to really back it up. But it goes in a file. It all goes in a data file, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to also ask you about, I had another Reddit question here. Oh, well, yeah, okay. So you're completely banned from Reddit? Like
Banned.
your
No
account is completely
warning,
gone.
no temporary. I am permanently banned.
So you would have to, in order for you to join Reddit at this point, you'd have to create a whole new account with a new
Profile,
email
right.
address, a whole new profile,
Right.
all that good stuff. And they would
Yep.
probably flag it if you tried to use some of the same ones.
Talk
I
about
guess.
David. Yep. And it's like, I'm telling you, let me tell you something. I want you to think about this, okay? I've been investigating things for 16 years. I know killers. I've talked to them. When somebody inserts themselves in a case, it's suspicious, especially at an alarming level. And who has done that? Judy Prochnow. And I know that people are going to be like, what do you mean? How could she be involved? She's 65 years old. What would she gain? Well, why is she still interested in this case? All she did was find the bodies and call 911. And 4 years later, she's still popping up on forums, acting like a damn fool, spewing hate about David, calling him a murderer and a perpetrator of a hate crime and a dopehead. Fuck you, Judy. And I'll tell you right now, you know she has a son, right?
Yes, Eric. I
Yeah.
think he's also a member of the group. He might have left the group, but at one point, both of Judy's children were members of the group.
Because he was home when this happened.
He was home, but weren't the Prochnows there too?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that one. I've heard that one, but I don't see a lot of evidence. I don't see a lot of proof, right? What do we see?
Well, you got to start where things don't add up. Why is Judy Prochnow inserting herself in the case? She acts like she was best friends with the Crowleys. No, she wasn't.
No, she only talked with David once or twice.
Exactly. And she gets, I heard the interview with you and her. She was talking for both families. They don't even know her. Citra's like, why would I want to meet the neighbor? She doesn't know them, and she's speaking to them. Citra's like, I don't fucking know who she is. And Judy's like, well, they all believe this. What the fuck? What do you mean they all? Oh, so you the spokesman for both families? Shut up, Judy.
Yeah, I'm not sure why she keeps going at it. Why she's so invested, especially when you're fighting a losing war. She's fighting a losing war. She knows she's wrong. She knows there's no evidence. She knows there's no proof. But she keeps going on.
She owns a company, right?
I'm sorry. Say that again.
You know she owns a company, right?
A company.
Valley Construction.
Okay.
It has one employee. Has 2.5 million revenue a year.
Each year?
Guess who? Yep. Guess who reconstructed and got David's house ready for sale? Judy Prochnow.
Really? Well, that's interesting. I haven't heard that one.
And I have proof of that too.
So maybe, well, I'd like to see it for sure. I'm sure the public would too.
I mean, I don't believe in coincidences, okay? Okay, so you found the body. You're 65 years old. Maybe it was traumatic. Okay. Why are you on the goddamn computer every day searching for people talking about David Crowley? Why? Who are you trying to
this
fool?
family. Maybe she just really wants to support the family, no?
She doesn't even know them, Greg.
I know.
She doesn't even know them. It makes no sense.
It makes no sense. You're right. The whole thing makes no sense. The fact that within 24 hours they're accusing David Crowley of killing his wife, his daughter, and himself. No way. I mean, that is just uncalled for.
And for investigation. That is not how it works. That is that you don't go in and make a decision immediately. You haven't even evaluated the evidence, and then you don't even test the evidence you have. You cannot make an informed decision unless you have done a thorough investigation. How do you know that David wrote that on the wall? First of all, I know he didn't. Okay, because Allah Akbar means God is great. Why would he write that? Neither of them were Muslim. He wouldn't. I said, oh, that was a parting shot to Kamal. No, what? That doesn't even make any sense. He loved his wife. They were not Muslim. He would not do that.
Yeah, and then the note in the office room too, right? Same thing.
Right. They're acting like that he left investigators all this evidence to look at. No, those are his personal notes. He wasn't leaving anything for anybody. I'm a veteran, like I said, I'm a combat veteran. I want to go on. There's a website called Together We Serve, and you can put your military picture up and put your all awards and where you've been and your unit and your rank, stuff like that. And you can connect with people that you served with. And the girl that, what's her name? She talked to me on Reddit. She's from Facebook. I think her name's Bella.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I know
she is a combat veteran, and she said that she's on there and made a profile, but you can also make like a tribute page to a fallen comrade. And I guess she made one for David. I haven't seen it yet, but I want to look at it. So she put his picture, put his unit, put all his awards and medals everywhere he was. I thought, Bella, that's nice, That was real nice of you.
Is that public or is that like a...
I'm not sure. You might be able to get in as a guest. I'm not really sure because I haven't been on. I was on there a couple years ago, and I just was like, I don't care about connecting with anybody I served with. Fuck that. But I want to go check it out now because Bella said that she made it. So I just think that was honorable of her. That, she didn't know him, but she felt a connection with him,
Mm-hmm.
Because, they were combat veterans and stuff. And I've shared a lot of information with her. And I don't feel like I'm disrespecting, David. I'm trying to honor his memory, and share. No one's perfect, okay? But David's not a murderer. He's not. No one will ever convince me otherwise. It's not true. I don't believe it. It's bullshit. David was silenced.
Yeah, and I think it's clear. It's good to just make it clear that this is your feeling. This is your view, This is
These
how
are
you
my
really
personal
feel.
views because I know David. I talked to him for a couple of years. We shared a lot of good stories and a lot of bad stories. And I believed in this man. I trusted him. I supported him. I donated for his trailer. No, you're not gonna convince me otherwise. And I'm not delusional. Call me a conspiracy theorist. I don't give a shit what you call me. I know what I know. I believe it, and I'll stand by it to the day I die.
Okay, so now that you're banned, what's next for this case? Are you just gonna give up, or can you fight this? Are you gonna continue to fight this ban? Start a new Reddit?
I know David is in heaven saying, "Butterfly, don't you dare give up on me." You know I didn't do this. Don't give up on me, and I won't. There's other forums out there. There's other ways that I can get this story out. Fuck Reddit. Okay? It's easy when you're on an anonymous site because you can act like an asshole and say whatever you want and be a dick and disrespect somebody who has died and been murdered. Say it to my face, bitch. You know? I only hide my identity because I personally know David, and I don't want to be the next one with a bullet in my head. You know what I mean? You think it's a coincidence his mom died 8 months later? When she was the only one who said my son did not do this? She was a healthy 51-year-old woman, worked 2 jobs, very sociable, very active, fought to have a meeting with that medical examiner. 8 hours after she meets her, she's dead. Explain that.
Do we know which medical examiner?
I have it in my notes.
It's
a female. It's a female. I did a background check on her, and weeks after.
Is it Jessica Lelinski, or is it a different one?
God, it doesn't sound familiar. Okay. I'll have to look it up. A couple weeks after she died, she was moved to a different state. I'm like, well, why? That's suspicious. I mean, it's like connect the dots, people. You got all these pieces to the puzzle, and if you put them together, it makes an ugly picture, is what it makes. And when I look at the pictures of those bodies, I can't imagine the fear and terror that David went through. Because I know he would have protected his wife and child if he could. I mean, I can see it. In my mind, I can see it. And the fear, it just makes me sick. They did not deserve this.
No. Nobody does. That's why it's really important for us to get to the truth.
He was a strong man. He was a good man. You know, then they plant this marijuana. Who cares if he did smoke marijuana? Who gives a shit? So that makes him crazy too? 1 out of every 3 people in America smoke marijuana.
Yeah, but they have to document that. There's no way they can't document that. But yeah, I think people have kind of twisted that to mean certain things or to make connections that really can't be proven. And that's been a challenge.
Where's the toxicology report? Let me see a toxicology report. Let me see that he had marijuana in his system. Doesn't mean anything, but let me see it.
Yeah, I don't think they found any. I don't think they have any.
He smoked marijuana and then he snapped? Oh, okay, yeah. How many people smoke marijuana?
Because he was researching, right? Because he was researching and it took him to a dark place and he snapped. I believe that's what was in the Tom Lydon video. That was just like, wow. Okay,
yeah, they took his music and his concept and turned it into a fucking, he lost his mind and he went into a deep, dark place and spiraled out of control. He had PTSD and he snapped.
Right.
Really? That's your story?
And they're also making that documentary, the Sloppy-mentary, they're making that at that same time. It's just Tom Lydon and Eric Nelson had some deal where they were going to put them out at the same time, but Tom Lydon decided to put his out first.
Good for him, piece of shit.
He's the only reason why we even know about that blood wall. We would have no other knowledge until we would have to watch Eric Nelson's crappy movie to see that.
And that's the thing. Guilty people will leak the truth because they're human. I mean, I've studied linguistics in the military. I know what, like qualifying words or bolstering words. Like a qualifying word is like if I say Greg. Honestly, to tell you the truth, why do I have to qualify the truth? I just say it. You know what I mean? So when you hear words like to be honest or to be frank or I'll be honest with you, you know a lie's coming. And then the bolstering words, absolutely. And then if they uncontract words, I absolutely did not kill David. That's a bolstering word. So to be honest with you, Greg, I absolutely did not kill David. Well, yeah, you did. You just told me you did. You know?
Just in case you were wondering.
Yeah. So it's like, if you listen, people will tell you who they are and what they are. If you listen, just listen. Because people, their human nature is to leak. It's not easy to lie. It's very uncomfortable for people. Even master manipulators. They wear masks and they're pretty good at it, but if you pay attention, then comes the micro expressions that they can't control. That's their body's reaction to stress because they're lying. Like the blinking, constant blinking, or the twitching, under their eye. They can't control that. Or the duping delight. O.J. Simpson's a perfect example of that. When they uncovered that interview of him talking about if I did it, and he's trying not to smile, but the corners of his mouth are smiling. That's called duping delight. He's happy with himself. He's happy with what he did, but he doesn't want to bust out laughing, and he did anyway. Why would you bust out laughing when you're talking about the murder of your ex-wife, the mother of your children?
Well, I think that's why a lot of people had questions when David's brother, Sean Wright, Mason Hendricks, Danny Mason, when they took that photo of them on their media tour.
On the Grace Day, I said within days of finding David's body, these are his supposed friends. They're celebrating.
Well, I mean, they could. They could just be doing that because. Yeah, I don't know. There's a few reasons why I could think of why they were smiling, but it does raise questions.
It's not normal. Your brother was found dead. My brother was murdered 8 years ago. I didn't smile for years. I looked around at people saying, how can you laugh? What are you smiling about? There's nothing to be happy about, And within 3 days of your brother being dead, you're smiling in a picture? That ain't right. Nope.
Well, he also didn't know which day, or he gave differing dates as to when he went to.
When he dropped off
there's no way you don't know that.
I know.
Go ahead.
David cut him out of his life. I know David and him stopped talking. And he tried to get back in David's life. And David would have nothing to do with it. So why in the fuck would you even take presents to his house? Then say you didn't ring the doorbell because you didn't want to bother them. But yet you walked by the bay window and saw Paleo. If you saw Paleo, you saw the bodies. There was a bookcase that went the length of the window. If Paleo had jumped up on that bookcase, something would have fallen. Why are you lying about that, Dan? You know what day you were there. That is a goddamn lie. If you saw the dog, you saw the bodies.
See, I'm not sure that that's necessarily true, only based on, because I've asked this same question, and it's a great question. I've asked this question to people who have actually gone up to that house, including Dan, And I've asked them that, could you really see the bodies if you were standing here? And it's not as you wouldn't necessarily see those bodies just by standing there. You would have to be up close, was the view that I got from a couple people.
Well, you'd have to be close enough to see the dog. There's only a little tiny lip right in front of that window. Colin Prochnow acted like it was a huge stoop that he had to step up on. No, it isn't. No, it is not. But regardless, why your brother hasn't talked to you for 4 months? Why would you think it was okay to drop presents off, but not ring the doorbell? To let him know.
And drop a check for $14,000 too. Don't forget that.
I know you don't want to talk to me, but here's some presents. Goodbye, or whatever. Nothing. Yeah. Why wouldn't you ring the doorbell? It makes no sense. Try to make contact. If you're really going to go over there for a reason to make contact, you're not going to drop them off. No,
I get that.
That's
just our view. Yeah.
But I mean, that's human nature. David did not want him in his life. Why would he show up 4 months later with presents?
Maybe he lived there closest.
He texted David, I love you, I love you. David never responded to him. David wanted nothing to do with him. He was done.
Well, I got to challenge you there too, only because David had given Dan Jr. his phone number sometime before he had given it to Dan Sr., which I believe was around November maybe even later. Now, this is all according to Dan Sr. too, so again, you got to consider the source. So,
yeah, I read that timeline that Dan Sr. made. Okay, and I just it's self-serving. Okay, when he makes the remark, "Oh, I cooked at Rainey's birthday party," and David said, "Thank you," and said, "I love you, Dad." That was strange. Why would you say that? What's strange about that? Because you abused David his whole life? Is that why? David Sr. is a fucking creep, and he's a goddamn abuser.
Well, I mean, we gotta have proof, right? I mean, unless we have proof of that, it's really not fair.
I know what I know. David told me about his life growing up.
Right.
I know that David Sr. was an abuser. That's why his wife, Kate, left. Yes, Kate was an alcoholic, okay? And that did cause problems. And David had an issue with that, too, because she was always drunk and calling, and, I'm so worried about you, and David's like, Mom, you got to stop, okay? I can't have this in my life. I have my own life. I have my own family. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not with my abusive father. I'm not with my alcoholic mom. I have my own wife and my own child. And I mean, there's other things that David told me that I won't reveal because it is too personal. And the truth is right there. Yeah. If you just look hard enough, the truth is right there.
Yeah, but see, the problem is for us outsiders, at least for me as an outsider, is trying to look in, trying to be balanced, trying to give people the benefit of the doubt, thinking about what if I was accused of this, what if I was accused of that, So I really do try to just be as truthful, as open, as honest, but also, I try to put the shoe on the other foot, too, to make sure, am I accusing this person of something that I really can't prove? Maybe I truly think it, but it's a big difference of thinking it and then proving it. Usually, of course, thinking it leads to proving it, and that's kind of where we're going with a lot of these things. But I've seen so many different theories, so many different stories that I had to take a lot of steps back to just kind of say, you know what, I need to go back to the very, very start and just start all over. And just, that's what I'm doing.
You have to start at the beginning and take all the key players, find out who they are, what their connection is to David, what their background is, who had to gain from David dying. You always look at when someone is murdered, it's either for financial gain, greed, or jealousy. So you say, who had the most to gain from David's death? And then you follow the money, you follow the clues. And it's really not that hard. And no, like I said, we don't have a picture of them killing David and his family. Not going to happen. Doesn't exist. But like I said, I'd like to see the pictures that Sean Wright has. What the fuck are you doing with pictures? Oh my God, you got to explain that, dude. And then why are you showing them? Are you proud of it? Did you stare at David? Did you mock him? You got to look at their behaviors, how they acted after David was found dead. I think it's highly suspicious that Dan Jr. made a GoFundMe page for Carmel's mom that was dying of cancer and then took the $8,000 and went to Vegas. Explain that.
I was told he ended up giving it back to the family. I was told Dan Jr. gave it back to the Camel family.
Did not. No, he did not. And Citra's dad made him take it down. He was embarrassed.
Yeah. I would be too. That is one of the strangest. There were so many things that the Gray State team and certain other people did too that just made it seem like, do you guys want us to create? Do you want us to believe that there is something fishy going on here? Because it's just almost like, why are you guys doing any of this? It doesn't make any sense. A lot of stuff that they did just looked like it was all staged.
It's like they're leaking and they don't even know it. It's like they're telling you the truth by their actions and by their little, slip of the tongue. Like Dan saying, I don't know what day you were there. Now, Dan, yes, you do. I mean, if you'd lie about that, what else are you lying about? You know what day you were there.
Well, he told the media that it was the 26th or the 27th that he wasn't sure. But then in the police report, he said it was the 28th. So there you go.
Yeah, and when people's statements are inconsistent, I mean, the thing about the truth is, Greg, it's timeless. It never changes. And that's why when I investigate things and I question people, I'll ask them the same question 15 different ways. You can tell the truth backwards, forward, sideways, because it's the truth and it never changes. You don't have to think about it. It just comes out because it's the truth. The truth never changes.
Right, and it was their silence. All that they could do was just stay silent and hope that people would just move on and buy it. And I think they quickly found out that was not gonna happen. They thought it was because a couple people had created a group and a Facebook page, but it was a lot deeper than that. It really ended up being a lot deeper. So I'm very curious to see with these bannings that we are seeing all over social media. I'm curious to see what happens next. What do you do next? Where do you go from here? Are you going to go to another social media site? Are you going to go somewhere else? Do you start another Reddit? Do we have 20 people start their own Reddits where we're all talking about David Crowley? And let's see if we all
yes. I say go ahead. Go right ahead. All you got to do is you make a username and an email account, get 7 karma upvotes, and you can make your own community. Call it Gray State. Call it David Crowley. Call it whatever you want.
But can I block people is what I need to know.
Yep.
I don't put up with any drama. I
Yep.
don't put up with any.
You can block whoever you want. If you block someone, they cannot message you, and you will not see their messages.
All right.
And if you create a community, you could ban someone from your community. You make a list of rules. If you don't follow them, you kick them out. And you can make it like a permanent. You never fucking come back, or you're banned for 90 days, and you can come back, or whatever.
I'm like the worst at that stuff.
Why?
Okay, just because I don't like the rules. I've been in so many Facebook groups that were just such a nightmare to be in, and I know a lot of people talk about the Justice for David Crowley family Facebook.
I just have heard so many drama stories about it, and I mean, it's like I have my own life and my own drama. I don't need everybody's drama on Facebook. I mean, I just don't. I have heard
the only difference for me with this Facebook group, with the Justice for David Crowley and Family Facebook group, is that it is different. You know, like whereas the other groups I might just leave or just kind of just whatever. It's different. You know, there's something different that really keeps me here, and there's just way too many questions, and it's also we do get a lot of those. It's almost like the Facebook group, like there's we're able to point out who some of these people are, who some of these key players are, who some of these fakers are, who some of these bot accounts are. So I think, you know, I've just never seen. I've been a part of a lot of Facebook groups, and I will never join another Facebook group. But I will never leave the Justice for David Crowley and Family Facebook group either, because it is different, and I do think there's just something very, very special about this group. I can't quite put my finger on it, but I think some people are treating it as a great social experiment where they're trying to just test us and trying to see who can we get to fight with whoever and all of that. And I think within the last year or so, we've been really good at just kind of purging that stuff and getting rid of a lot of those fakers. They're still going to be out there, but we're also getting more people who are helping us.
Bella sent me a message and said Judy Prochnow had another fake account or something. And she's like, I'm leaving this group, you know, fuck that. You know,
and that's what
like,
Judy wants, and that's what they want. They want you to leave, you know. For me, it's like,
she messaged you and Dan, and I guess Dan Hennon.
Yes. And he's one who created, and that's really how it should go. That's, you know, if people are like, you know what, this, you know, take it to Dan Hennon. I always encourage people, and maybe I need to make this more vocal. Send it to Dan Hennon. This is his site. This is his group. You know, I have a for him, you know, it's easier for him to just ban people. For me, it's like I have to remember Dan Hennon is my friend. I respect him. I don't want to just start banning people without talking with him. Then we got to go back and forth. Say it again.
Are you an admin on the page?
Yes, I am. But I don't necessarily consider myself as much. I try not to really go there unless I need to, you know.
Right.
So I'm probably not a good
I
understand. But I'd like to get better.
And I understand that, you know, I'm in the fact-finding business too. I don't believe rumors or whatever. If I hear something, I'll investigate it, and I'll check it out on 7 different sites, and I'll try to get sources, and I want facts, I want pictures, I want documents. You know, I can't just take anybody's word, you know, and I get that. And you don't have to believe me. Honestly, I don't give a fuck. I mean, I'm not being rude. I'm just being honest.
No. Right.
You know, I don't care if you or anybody doesn't believe me, but I know that David Crowley did not do this. Period.
And I think that's
of who did.
Well, that's the purpose of the group, and I think a lot, you know, some people have lost that focus. Is like, you know what? If that's not your purpose, you really shouldn't be here. So
right, that's what Bella told me. She's like, I'm here for the goddamn truth. I'm not here for people spreading disinformation and acting like jackasses and calling David a murderer. If you're going to call him a murderer, you need to prove it to me.
Right. Yeah, and that's where I just need to get better at flagging that stuff. And so I do, I do appreciate the people that do contact me. And it's like, hey, you need to look at this person. I probably got about 15 people that I'm looking at in that group now, just watching closely.
It's a lot of work. Just like, subreddit, I had 12. I spent up to 12 hours a day because, I'm handicapped from the war. I'm pretty much confined to a chair. So I spent almost 12 hours a day on Reddit monitoring people, making sure they're following the rules. My biggest thing is you don't bully people, you don't insult people, and you don't call people names. Don't come in here and sit because I will kick your ass out.
I like it.
It's okay to come up with a theory, based on A, B, and C, but don't just say, oh, David snapped and killed his wife and kid. Okay, why? You can't just say that. That's unacceptable. You got to back it up.
You're right. Okay, as we've wrapped this up here, you've answered all of my questions. I really appreciate that. I would love to think about scheduling a second part here, but do you have any final words for us as we just kind of sign off for this first part?
Well, I just want to say to whoever listens to this is that I did know David. He's a good man. He did not do this, and I encourage everyone to do your research. Ask questions. Use your brain and logic. Don't listen to the narrative that people are pushing. Do your homework and come to your own conclusions. You don't have to believe what I'm saying, but don't just take it from what the Apple Valley police are saying. Do your homework.
All right.